An absolutely sickening event took place over the weekend. Yes, there is still independent wrestling going on. No. It's the son of Rampage Jackson. Okay. Quentin Rampage Jackson, personally, one of my favorite fighters ever. He was a part of the first UFC card I ever seen. UFC, was that 93 or 94? Him starching Vanderlei Silva. That was one of those moments that I can just pinpoint as like, yep, I really like this MMA thing. It was the night that I left my job as media manager at Best Buy. I was about to move on to be night manager at a movie gallery. God damn it, man. That was a fun little epoch. But yeah, a lot of good memories associated with Rampage Jackson. And I actually didn't know that he had like a fully grown son or something like that. Really shouldn't be that shocking. But for the first time to be introduced to this is him hopping in on an independent wrestling show and knocking out a worker, and the entire situation not being an angle to bring him into the company. That's something. Okay, so Raja Jackson, son of Rampage Jackson, commits brutal assault on military veteran pro wrestler. Yeah, it's actually like quite sad, to be completely honest, okay? Because here's the guy right here. Pro wrestler Raja Jackson, attacked, was a former Army veteran suffering from PTSD and relied on pro wrestling as a way to escape his personal struggles.
Pro in 2009. I had just got out of the military, probably about 6 months earlier. I got out of the military, I joined Knokx Pro, because I needed something to focus on. I needed something to help me adjust back into civilian life. A lot of veterans, it's hard for them to readjust into civilian life coming from the life of the military. I'm an American soldier that suffers from PTSD. Being in front of a crowd, it doesn't give me as much anxiety and aggression as I thought it would. Pro.
Not bad. Like some of the moves I was looking at, it's like Scoop Slam looked pretty good, and some of his clubs. Well, given the fact that he's been working for 16 years, so yeah, good for him. And so, well, just from that vignette, obviously, it just gives you a snapshot about who the guy is. It's just what would end up eliciting a reaction like this, okay? The wrestling world is reeling after a violent assault at a Knokx Pro Wrestling event in Los Angeles on August 23rd. Raja Jackson, the 25, what the hell? Okay, son of former UFC light heavyweight champion Quentin Rampage Jackson, stormed the ring and launched a sustained attack on Syko Stu Smith, a U.S. Army veteran and independent pro wrestling. And yeah, Raja is a spitting image of Rampage that is fucking frightening. Raja Jackson assault captured on a live stream. I'm not going to play for you because I'm pretty sure that that's going to be against terms of service on YouTube, but it's all over the place. I've seen it. It's pretty fucking gross, actually. What should have been, yes, a scripted moment in front of the fans quickly spiraled into a real-life beating that left Smith hospitalized and triggered a police investigation that could put the young Jackson behind bars for a long time. Because, yeah, things like this, I mean, okay, somebody ends up working an angle, you're bringing in somebody that has, some level of credibility, you want to establish a new star. That's what I was thinking. It's like, oh, okay, there he is right there, okay, in the audience, watching the show. It's like, okay, just play on this a little bit later. You're going to work an angle, bring somebody new in the business. It happens all the time, okay? But the trouble began earlier in the evening. Smith struck Jackson in the head with a beer can. Whether it was intended as a joke or a spur-of-the-moment wrestling angle, it clearly crossed a line. And yeah, we got a little bit more insight on that because, Rampage Jackson himself talked about the event as it unfolded afterwards. And, well, to be completely honest, I kind of see his side of this. This is a very... It's interesting. Ultimately, how it was handled, I mean, I'm not sweeping for somebody who's going to go out there and commit fucking assault that puts somebody in a hospital just because your feelings got hurt. Okay, you can settle this like men afterwards. You're 25 years old, okay? This isn't some fucking kid. So spurging out is never quite the best way to go about this, but I can see what led up to this in the aftermath. And this is the thought process of Rampage.
Don't know my son, and he hit him over the head with like a can or beer can or a bottle or something, and my son didn't know it didn't know it was coming. Didn't know, they didn't tell my son. And he hit my son over the head. I guess he thought my son was a pro wrestler or something. And Roger didn't react, but Roger didn't fight though. He didn't do anything. I told Roger not to get punched, but still nigga hit my son over the head. And then he asked my son, "You ain't gonna sell it?" When you in pro wrestling, when you sell, it's like, cause that shit fake. MMA, we do real shit.
Yeah, no, that's fair, okay. Obviously, I got this sped up a little bit because, Rampage is a former fighter, so it takes him a minute to articulate his thoughts, but even still, okay, cool, you're in the audience of an indie show, you're going to be a little bit more, you're going to be perceived as being a bit of a more, in-the-know wrestling fan, so, okay, cool, you're going to get hit in the head with a can, maybe you sell it, but then at the same time, if you're just, in the area, or even if, you're just in the audience, and then he hits you in the head with a, I understand, but then at the same time, I just don't understand. But then I also know that there's probably a little bit more to this, maybe, potentially.
And he said, you ain't gonna sell it? So when you don't sell it, it make that pro wrestler look bad, like he weak or something. But my son, he don't know nothing about that shit. So this motherfucker that hit my son is stupid. So in order for me not to go to fucking jail, I gotta talk to his coach. Yeah, Roger wasn't aware. Roger didn't know what was going on. He just thought he was going and talking to those dudes.
Okay, well, hey, if that's the case, there is another side to this story after all. It's still, doesn't excuse him hopping in the ring afterwards and beating the fucking brakes off this guy. But Smith, yes, seemed to realize that instantly, as cameras caught him apologizing repeatedly, making it clear he hadn't meant or hurt to humiliate Jackson. So that right there, Rampage kind of left that out of his description, okay? Yeah, in professional wrestling, such incidences are often smothered over, yes, with a receipt. Probably the most famous one, obviously, a controlled safe strike in the ring that acknowledges the mistake without a real injury, and that's normally between two workers, but I think probably my favorite one was, oh god, what was that? There was a triple threat, what was it? Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, and, I don't know, probably Roman Reigns, because that was the fucking program that was running at the time. Whatever it was, but Braun ended up hitting Brock Lesnar with a stiff strike or something like that. But Brock gave him a receipt, and it was a fucking knee to the head. It's something that's just going to live in my mind rent-free. And yeah, shit like that happens all the time. It's just when you got an audience member, when's he going to get the opportunity for a receipt? And why would you do that? Why would you involve an audience member like that? Because, yeah, at indie shows, the audience plays into the event a lot more than it would in your televised mainstream pro wrestling event. But, yeah, there's a lot of fault to be thrown around here. Obviously, a lion's share still goes to Raja. I don't want anybody to fucking misconstrue that, but you kind of instigated something there, Stu, and it was a little stupid. Jackson's wrestler friend arranged exactly that. Okay, Raja would be allowed to deliver a symbolic receipt, typically a stiff forearm or a chop to the chest. Why would you do that afterwards? Why wouldn't you have him make good? Okay, Jackson himself admitted on camera that it didn't even hurt, but instead of letting the matter drop, fans on Kick livestream began to egg him on, rage baiting him in real time. Oh, great. So, yep, it's all ego. This is all ego. Jackson stood visibly agitated until his moment came. When he entered the ring, he abandoned the idea of a controlled receipt and instead unleashed a barrage of punches to Smith's head. Witnesses counted more than 20 blows delivered, even after Smith was knocked out cold. So yes, the veteran has been hospitalized, and I don't know if it's mentioned right here, but MrBeast has gotten involved, and even he wants to help pay for the medical expenses of Stu. So this is becoming quite a deal. So Knokx Pro Wrestling, the California promotion at the center of the scandal, issued a public statement condemning Jackson's behavior as selfish, irresponsible, and reprehensible. The group, which has been active for nearly 2 decades, emphasized this kind of violence is unprecedented in its history. Yeah, and it's well, not working out that well for them, because they were a part of one of these farm systems that the Fed has developed in recent years. Their WWE ID, where they keep an eye on indie workers and then see if they have any potential to be brought into the system, work out of the performance center. It's one of the good things that they're trying to do, to insert some fresh blood into the industry that has been languishing over the past 15 years. I think might be underselling it, because this current crop of main eventers have been around since 2014. Christ almighty. Pathetic, charismaless, fucking non-drawn shit dicks. But yes, WWE ID affiliation pulled from Knokx Pro after Raja Jackson incident. So yeah, they just lost a very high-profile partner, and if the whole angle of Raja getting in the ring afterwards was set up to be a work from the management, yeah, that would lead to this. That would lead to this situation. Brian Alvarez is reporting that he's been told Knokx Pro has had its affiliation with the WWE ID pulled following the incident on Saturday, where Raja Jackson entered the ring and attacked wrestler Syko Stu. He knocked Stu unconscious, yes, with a slam, and then delivered multiple punches to the face. Yes, we already know about that. I'm told that Knokx Pro has had their WWE ID affiliation pulled. But I guess the important part about this is Stu had to be hospitalized, but he is awake as of Monday morning. Good morning. Thank you for the outpouring of support. Stuart is conscious and does have some recollection of the night to the day of the attack. Thank you for everyone for reaching out. It's been difficult to get back to everyone individually. We will be setting up something for anyone wishing to donate. I will update with a link when possible. He is currently resting and says thank you for the love and support. Yeah, man. I would imagine, right? Because there's no indication, at least from anything that I am seeing, that this was premeditated on his behalf. I would imagine, right? Like, there was a good chance that the promoter, whoever was booking, was like, oh yeah, Rampage Jackson's son's going to be in the audience. He's a big kick streamer or something like that. So yeah, you want to go over, we'll set something up early. Okay, we'll set something up early. You go hit him in the head with an empty beer can or something like that. Get him enraged, and oh yeah, we'll just bring him in afterwards, and we'll just do something. Generate a little bit of hype, get some social media presence going, shit like that. Carny behavior of, indie wrestling promoters. I can totally believe something like that happened. And then it ended up, ballooning into something that is just, taken over the wrestling conversation. And at this point in time, I mean, there is literally nothing else going on right now. Yeah, man, long story short, the fault of this situation lies on the bookers if they were as involved as it has been indicated by Rampage and other sources. But ultimately, yeah, Raja getting lit up by the chat and not being able to handle this professionally is like, you're 25, not 15, okay? You freaking out like that doesn't look good for you, doesn't look good for the promotion, and it could end up putting your ass in jail. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo, and you should follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.